We are in the midst of a great reveal by an ancient race of human types that live in our forests, that are still alive today, that, according to what I've been told through written communication, these are the first people on Earth. I asked them this question, it wasn't too long ago, and I use a sketch pad and a chalkboard for interactions. The writings have developed over time. At first, it started with a small little notepad and a crayon, leaving it outside, and that's developed into a chalkboard and a sketch pad that are left indoors. And I will ask questions out loud. At one point, I was asking too many questions, and the answers were coming too slow, so things got a bit confusing. So I've had to develop things over time to a point where I now try to ask questions mainly with yes and no answers to make things simplified, although it's not always like that. And sometimes I'll ask a question out loud, and they'll respond with a drawing or written communication, either on the sketch pad or the chalkboard. Sometimes I'll write a question out on the chalkboard. I'll put a line in the middle, and then I'll write another question underneath. And they're very intelligent beings. These are the Sasquatch. They have a conscious awareness far more evolved than us. We are children taking our first steps in comparison to what they're capable of. Things that I've experienced and learned over the past dozen years, especially the last 8 years, have completely shifted my understanding of reality. And finally, I see some science that have grown a pair that have come forward, mainly Russian science. Dmitry Bayanov was a large supporter of the work that I've done and worked on with Dwayne. He passed not too long ago. I think he was 88 years old, heart failure, and he'd been involved in this subject since 1964. At one point, I'd sent some of my correspondence, some of my experiences, the paranormal aspect of this subject, which it basically is. It's all paranormal. That I sent over to Igor Burtsev, who's also he was a colleague of Dmitry, and he's been involved since in this subject since 1965. And I was very happy to see recently Igor. He'd gone out on an expedition and had experienced some fascinating stuff that completely aligns with what I've been speaking about. So he not only confirms their existence, but confirms the paranormal aspect of Sasquatch. And he'd had experiences even with his phone, which I just had to laugh because I've had the same. They know how to manipulate our electronics. It doesn't matter what it is. Video cameras, phones, computers, whatever, it doesn't matter. They have an understanding. I obviously I don't know how they do this, but I've been witness to a lot of stuff that people would just dismiss and think it's they'd look for some logical explanation. I'll say when you get involved in this subject, toss your logic out the window because it doesn't live here anymore. There is much more going on than this 3D paradigm we're living in. And those who continue and persist in the subject, sooner or later, you will stumble into some of the paranormal aspect. And it's entirely up to you if you want to accept that and pursue that, or you can simply deny that, as many have done. And some have spent decades involved in this subject, and they still ridicule what they don't know, this paranormal aspect of Sasquatch existence. And it's a shame that some of you just, you choose to ignore that and continue down that path, and you're only going to get so far. From my experience, obviously the unknown is very fearful for many people, especially dealing with something such extreme intelligence. And I've given trust to the situation, and it's never let me down. I've been involved in this a dozen years, like I mentioned, and it all started from back in 2008, although it does go back to my childhood. But back in 2008, when I first had that close vocal encounter, and even back then, I had this had come back to me recently because you forget a lot of things that have happened, right? There was an incident way back then. I was out with another researcher who I don't associate with anymore because of things that happened at the cottage and basically bringing people in the back door, infiltrating the location and all that. But I'm not going to get into that. Anyways, I was out with this person at one point, and it was there was snow on the ground. I remember it was midweek. I think it was about 2 o'clock in the morning. There was lots of moonlight. Didn't need any external light source. You could see no problem. And we were checking out some prints in the snow. I was trying to figure out if they were a deer jumping through the snow or what it was. But suddenly we started hearing bipedal crunching through the snow around us. And there was no footprints that were shown, just the walking through the snow. And it was very close and very loud. And I remember I was, freaking out at the time. I had no idea what I was dealing with. And it took some time before that would happen, several years. But even back then, they were exposing their abilities to me. And it's funny that I can look back and see certain things and understand that wow, they were showing themselves back then and letting me know of their invisibility and interdimensional aspect. Anyways, I hadn't made any visits to Dwayne's cottage for quite some time. It was probably about 6 months, and we'd gone back and made a few visits, and you always wonder after such a long period if things are going to be the same, and sure enough, it's like we never left. Just always absolutely fascinating. And Dwayne and I have always had this motto, always something new. It's even though things can be very similar in the experiences, there's little nuances that get tossed in there. And one of the more recent ones was I've been witness to many marbles out of thin air. Sometimes they've dropped or materialized right into a glass in my hand, or been dropped right into my hands. Been hit with many of them, not hard, just here we are, letting me know of their presence. So on a more recent visit, I was sitting at the table. Dwayne's on my left at the end of the table. On the other end, on my right, I just turned my head for a moment, and they knew exactly where I was looking, because this happened within arm's reach. And I've written a story on this that's on my website, sasquatchontario.com. And there's a piece of audio with it. Actually, I'll toss it in this video after I'm done talking. It just, I had audio running outside and the window was open, so it captures the moment where this marble hits the floor after I sat there and watched it slowly push through empty space where I just saw the start of it. And it took a few seconds. They did this slowly. And I got to watch this marble, and it looked like it was pushed through a wormhole. Not the worm in the ground. Wormhole in space. And if you look that up, you can, that image that they give you, you would think that if it was being pushed outwards, that's how it would look. But no, it was the fabric of space was folded in like you would see in an image of a wormhole, as this marble got squeezed through and popped through this invisible veil that surrounds us. You can hear the marble hit the floor. It's very loud on the audio, and then you hear my reaction. And like I mentioned, I'll do that. And then they actually did that the next visit again. This time I was bent over putting my boots on, and they did it right in front of my face as I was looking down towards the floor, but maybe a foot in front of my eyes, and they squeezed another one through. So it's funny. Once they do something once, it seems to continue, and then they build on that. Their timing is always impeccable. They know what we focus on, and they've continually shown me that they watch me closely. And there's been incidents here happen at home. One of the more recent ones was absolutely fascinating, and I'm so happy they did this. I had my girlfriend Jen over, and my landlord texted me at one point. It was on a Saturday. I think it was a Saturday, and it's about 7 p.m. when he texted me. This was maybe, I don't know, a month and a half ago or within the last couple of months. And he texted me, and he said he heard two obvious wood knocks out back in the last half hour. And like I said, it was about 7 p.m. So I mentioned to Jen, I said, I have to step out back at some point tonight, and even, just out of respect. So we both stepped out and came back here, actually pretty much right where I'm standing now. And we were standing here. It's about 1 o'clock in the morning. There was a lot of wind through the tops of the trees. And it's funny how the timing of this was basically during a very brief break where all the wind stopped. We walked from the house back here without any external light source and allowed our eyes to adjust to the natural light. And it was dark. It was 2% on the waxing moon there. But still, your eyes adjust if you don't use any light. And we were able to see just fine. There was no snow on the ground back then. The leaves were very crunchy, dry. And we were standing there. We stopped at this point, roughly where I'm standing right now, and we were standing there listening, and suddenly off to my left, it sounded a bit distant, maybe 100 feet away. I heard this, but the clarity of it was very clear in my ear or head. I don't know at this point. And I heard this triple wood knock, and it was a knock, knock, very brief pause, and then another knock. And what's funny is that same sequence of knocks I used to do way back when I first got involved in this subject, back in 2008, where I had that close vocal encounter that put me on this path. And it's funny that this knock sounded exactly the same as that same pattern. So I mentioned it to Jen. She didn't hear it. And, it could have been just movement of our body that would distort, hearing the sound. Or it could have been telepathic. I don't know, considering the clarity of it. And I've experienced other incidents in the past that I remember one time I was in my tent and I heard a voice right outside my tent wall. And I had audio running outside the tent with very clear or very sensitive microphones, and I thought, right on, I'm going to have that on audio. And when I listened back, there was nothing there. There's been other incidents. I've had like canine sniffing at my tent wall, which was really strange. It's been there was nothing there. I had another incident where I had a really like canine type, very scary, nasty snarl that was telepathic, purely telepathic. But I thought this was right outside the tent wall, and I had audio running, and there was nothing there. There's been numerous incidents and ways that they have shown their telepathy, mind speak, very loud and clear the first time, a grunt in my head that shot me to my feet. They like to get you in that moment that what's it called, theta, just between asleep and awake, when your mind's all calm and clear, and they've made their presence known numerous times that way. So anyways, Jen and I are standing there, and I hear this, and she didn't hear it. So it was about a minute after that, from our left side came, he was about 6 feet in front of us, and I say he, we both felt that it was a younger male. He walked about 6 feet in front of us and crossed our path, and there was first 3 steps, a very brief pause, and then 2 more steps, and we both witnessed the leaves on the ground kicking up as he walked. And then Jen got a visual of his form through a shimmering, which I didn't see, but I'm very glad that she saw that. And so they basically showed her their abilities, which I was, very happy with, because I have a lot of stories and I have a lot of supporting evidence, but for them to give that purposely and blatantly and solidify that for her was, I'm very happy about that. And there's been other incidents, like I've had things wrapped around my mirror in my car, and that's happened a few times, and it's also happened to her a few times at this point. I have something hanging from my rear view mirror, and the most recent incident was my little buddy, my little cat Minus, who he passed not too long ago. And my last cat, they did the same thing. They showed up. They knew what was going on. They knew he was on his way out too. And at one point, he was laying on the carpet beside the bed, and it was just a couple days before he passed. And I was laying on the bed taking a nap right beside him, and I had two clear telepathic incidents that popped my eyes open, and one of them was like a vocal, just like he would do. And I don't think it was him, it could have been, but I don't think it was him. I think it was them, because of just what was going on. He was asleep, and when I popped my eyes open, I saw this, and I closed my eyes again, and it happened again, and then it was, I was on my way to Jen's place, and I was driving my car, and these couple pieces hang from my rearview mirror. The one piece, and it's funny, they've always done the one piece. It's this obsidian stone that somebody gave me as a gift, and I'm driving. I guess I averted my eyes for a second, and suddenly I look, and this thing's wrapped around my mirror. And I've mentioned this before. I've tried to hit this with my arm, jump on my brakes, whatever. It doesn't even come close to wrapping around my mirror. And I come out of the forest once, not too far from here. My car was locked, and I hadn't been in the woods for a while, and I guess they were happy to see me go for a hike through the woods. And I come out and jump in my car, and again, it was wrapped around my mirror. It happened another time while I was sitting in my car. So this happened while I was driving to Jen's. This is all basically around the time that my little guy was on his way out, and I'm pretty convinced they were showing their support, as they've done before. They know what's going on. They continually show me that they are watching me, and very closely. They'll show up, and it doesn't matter when or where. It seems to be absolutely anywhere. And I believe, I'm completely convinced it's all through consciousness. Everything is connected, and I believe this is how they keep tabs on us, I guess, so to speak. There was another incident, more recent incident at the cottage, and I'd made a visit. And I'd had an incident, I guess a few years back now, with another research friend of mine who I'd left a couple of clear blue marbles, big ones, bigger than your average marbles. And I remember I wanted to keep them, and there's a video on my channel on this. And they ended up disappearing, and a friend of mine found two very similar, identical ones at her cottage, which is hours away, and she'd never been to my location. She didn't know where it was. And this just happened within a few days of when I left them. So anyways, I had made a brief phone call to her when I was at Dwayne's cottage, and at the end of that night, Dwayne and I are sitting there at the kitchen table, and suddenly a flurry of clear blue marbles came out of thin air, one after another. There was 5 of them, and all clear blue marbles. And it's funny, I'd never mentioned this to him, but I recently found another one in a glass case, eyeglasses, in a case that I had with me at the time, and I opened that recently and found another clear blue marble in there. The physical contact I've had is numerous times, like many times, I don't even count, right? It's happened both indoors and out. And it was always happening outdoors before, until one day I said to them, Hey, Neff, you guys always touch me when I'm outside. Can you do it indoors? And that night he did. It's never on command when I ask, but they tend to oblige and do things just always least when it's least expected. Their timing is always impeccable. And as I mentioned, they know what we focus on. And this is consistent with their behavior throughout many people that I've talked to over the years. I'm contacted by many people that have had their own experiences. And, I see a lot of negative stuff posted out there on them, and they're portrayed as monsters still by many people. They're hunted by some that think they're animals. And, I wish you people would change your motives and your ways, and understand that these are people. They have children. They have kids, man. They got children, and I've recorded their voices. And they speak just like we do. I've said to some people, if you were talking to one of their children on the phone, you wouldn't be able to tell the difference between them and us. They haven't grown up yet, so their lung capacity is within the human range, and they sound just like we do. I don't trust what's in our history books. Our history is shoved under the rug. There's so much evidence of giants throughout antiquity, and who's responsible for hiding it? I don't know. Smithsonian. There's people in power that do not want this information understood by the masses. If this, or when this knowledge comes to our forefront, it's going to shift human consciousness on a collective scale. Maybe not everybody, but many people will gain a whole new perspective on reality. This knowledge, this experience empowers humans, and the capacity of what I can see this knowledge can do is help the human race and the earth. And, it causes one to be a lot more aware of one's actions, of one's thoughts. This has been a journey for me, and I've put myself out there, and I've taken a lot of bullshit, a lot of ridicule, harassment, stalking, accusations of hoaxing. And I've held my integrity, and I've spoken the truth throughout this entire process. There's a certain organization that like to deem themselves the top of this subject, but they're good for a database. That's about it, because they deny the reality and truth of this, and they actually harass people and stalk and trespass. And I've had my personal proof and caught them red-handed. But excuse me, at this point, I'm kind of past all that. I've had my emotions to deal with throughout this, a lot of anger, lashing out at people who've berated me and that. And like I said, I've stuck my neck out, and it's been a challenging journey, but hey, I've been growing throughout this entire process, and learned a few things about energy and our thoughts. And we are powerful creators as human beings, and the universe responds to our emotions, our thoughts, our intentions. And if everybody would learn this, man, what a beautiful place this world would be. Vibration of the earth, vibration of collective vibration of the human consciousness would raise, and just that in turn just is good for everything. At this point, I've had so much experience, hundreds of encounter experiences, and there are no experts. I'm no expert. We're dealing with the paranormal. We're dealing with the unknown. But some of us have a hell of a lot more experience than most. And I'm just trying to share this knowledge, and because I see the capacity that it has, and the good it can do. we reach a certain level, then the understanding that we have the first people on Earth that have incredible, astounding abilities that change our whole perspective on reality. This would, in my opinion, at some point would shut down clear cutting on the logging industry, and I would love to see that. I'm not against logging, as I've mentioned in the past, but I am against clear cutting. All these old growth forests, and then they say, oh, well, we plant trees and place them. Yeah, straight rows of pine and whatever, is not the same. You've destroyed ecosystems, destroyed forest growth that has been around for centuries, and it's just horrible what the egos of men do, and the destruction. And I believe this is why the Sasquatch are revealing their existence to us. The destruction of the earth, and they see what we do to each other. Personally, I think it's more about the earth than us, although they have shown that they do love us. I actually have that on audio, where Neff's family has said love you, and we love you, and I've documented footprints from multiple family members, from the small children right up to a 20-inch by 8-inch adult, and I see comments sometimes about, oh, the footprint should be deeper, and I just think, oh man, your observation skills suck. Just read the comments and understand that, hey, the road's frozen underneath. My car doesn't make a dent. A very simple explanation to that. Or there's only one footprint. Where's the rest? Or the edges are shouldn't look like that. And I'm thinking, how do you know? When have you witnessed this? There is many ways that they reveal their presence to us, and I've recorded vocals from thin air many times, and from multiple family members. And I'll play some of the vocals after this again that I've documented. And I recently had some contact from somebody that I hope is going to help me with some of that. I did at one point give some hair samples to somebody involved in the subject, and it went through a third party that there was that they looked at these hair samples, and I'd been told, oh, this is dog, or this is human, and I even got told polar bear. Personally, I know they came from very fresh Sasquatch footprints, and I was very careful. At this point, there's so many people involved in the subject that I really don't trust, and it's going to get to some point where this is undeniable. And I hope that this happens sooner than later, and we finally come to the realization that these people exist. And I understand there's a lot of monster portrayal put out there, and I hope more and more people come to the understanding that no, they're not monsters. Hey, maybe they don't like some of us, or maybe some of them can't stand our people because they see what's going on. They know things that we don't know. I asked them about this whole this virus crap going on, and they had written made by bad humans. I trust their answer much more than I would trust some narrative being pushed through mainstream media. I just hope that with all this crap going on, that all this comes to light, and there's a much bigger connection going on too, because there's been UFO incidents involved, and there's cases that where Sasquatch have been seen coming and going from UFOs. So again, I believe this is all connected through consciousness. Once you reach that level of consciousness that they have, I believe there are no lies among their people. You can't, because they know. There's no secrets among their people. As far as other beings or other species of intelligent life, sentient life that has the same abilities, perhaps it's the same throughout all of them, that there are no secrets. But we have to reach that level of conscious awareness, and which we don't have at this point. We're still in the dark ages as far as I can see, and definitely right now, and definitely in the dark ages. And hopefully humans wake up and see what's going on around us. This lie being shoved down our throats, and our freedoms taken away. And anyways, hopefully everyone's doing okay and hanging in there. Be strong, and try and keep positive. I know it's difficult with all this stuff being shoved down our throats and all the lies, and there's a lot of people that are waking up, and hopefully this all comes to light sooner than later. Just try and stay positive and hold your vibe high, because from my understanding, through energy, and like I said, the universe responds to our emotions, our intentions, and our thoughts. So try and be consciously aware of those thoughts, and choose them wisely.
I saw that. I saw that appear. I saw that marble appear. It appeared right here. I just watched it. It appeared right there in front of my face.
I fucking heard it.
Well, they knew where I was looking. Hello, my friend.
I hear ya. Is that you, Ashantia? Oh? Who's that? It's my friend Nefertia. Oh no? The Ashantia? Oh, it's Nefertia. Hi, buddy. Yo. Yeah. I miss you, my friend. Ow.
Go! Now. Go. Get out. Yeah. Oh. Oh. What?
Oh, he's right there.
Yes.
Fuck. Where is it from?